Preparing the live stream for YouTube. Okay, we're still loading. Redirecting. Preparing the live stream for YouTube. Okay, I can hear myself twice now, so give me one more moment.
I can only hear you fine, so you're fine here at our end.
Okay, so I'm hoping it holds. If at any point
Yeah.
something crashes, you guys, I apologize. But we will have another masterclass next week, so just tune back in next week or connect with me, and I can send you a personal message and get that over to you. So, all
So
right.
far, so good.
Yes, we've got 3 minutes in. Let's see, we've got a few people here. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. So I'm going to give us just one more minute for, the extra people that may be joining. In the meantime, get your notebook, paper, I don't know, your phone, whatever you can take notes with, because there's definitely going to be a few key things that I'm going to be sharing with you that are really going to stand out to you. Maybe you've heard before, maybe you haven't. Our mission as financial educators and teaching you these specific concepts are to really just simplify everything and not confuse you, not overcomplicate it, but really just to help you understand. And we are here to support you and really help guide you through this financial journey because we know how difficult it can be in different stages of your life. And so I'll be sharing with you some of the key concepts in the book itself, and then we will go from there. At the end of the class, feel free to write down any questions and save them for the end. But if you prefer a more intimate conversation with one of us and either me and my team, then of course we can have that discussion at a later time. But out of respect for everyone here, we're almost 5 past the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And so let me go back here. Okay, awesome. So this is the Essentials Money class. This is where you'll learn to stop being a sucker when it comes to your money, right? So I'm Yvonne. I've been in this business for the last 4 years, and I am a licensed financial professional, and I will be hosting this session for you with you. So my goal is to give you just a solid start in your financial literacy journey in record time. So we're going to go through this as quickly as possible, but of course, I'm going to make sure that you also understand. So pay attention, keep up, and start taking notes. I'm going to play this video. Take a look at it. It's going to be the authors of the book. We've been interviewed in some of the biggest news channels. So I'm going to press play now.
WealthWave has a significant impact that reaches beyond local communities. With over 350 appearances on major networks like ABC, CBS, CNBC, Fox, NBC, and SiriusXM, and features in Newsweek and the Wall Street Journal, WealthWave, along with the Money Book series, has established a strong presence in the financial industry. These media features not only enhance our message of financial education, but also add credibility. They enable us to engage a wide audience and lead conversations on financial literacy, reinforcing our role in promoting financial empowerment. Our dedicated network of educators work together to foster knowledgeable and financially empowered clients.
Awesome. So as I mentioned, that was Tom Matthews, the author of the book. And yes, there are 3 different versions of the book itself. And so what we're going to do is basically cover the default concepts in every single one of those books. But of course, the versions are different based on the characters inside those books for different reasons. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first decision that you must make is pretty simple, right? So will you choose the mindset of a sucker or choose to think like the wealthy? And the fact that, you've joined this class today, you're here, you're present, you're taking notes, you're on the right track, right? So this is the good news. You don't have to really be wealthy to necessarily think like the wealthy. You only need that knowledge and that action and someone to really support you along the way. So now is that opportunity for you to gain this knowledge, and this will really help you prepare for what's to come next. Financial literacy is the #1 economic crisis in the world. So we know the word sucker kind of sounds a little insulting, but unfortunately, that's the best way to describe someone who can really be taken advantage of because they really just don't know how things work. And so not knowing how money works does suck. It sucks up your time, your freedom, and even sucks up your income. So I don't know about you, but that just sucks. So over 5 billion people in the world are actually considered financially illiterate. And, that references the shocking results of this recent global study that only 30% of people in the world are considered financially literate. So this study used a quiz to reveal really like the vast majority of people from countries all over the world. They were unable to answer some basic, simple questions about money. So this class will teach you the answers to those questions. And hopefully this course, this is the reason why you're here, to really understand those basics. So look at these numbers on the screen here. So take a look. So let me see, can you believe that almost half of Americans don't have enough to cover a $400 emergency, or to really make their student loan payments on time, or to pay off credit cards, or even considering retiring? But here's the good news for you, and of course everyone else here. With the right knowledge and action, we can change these numbers. So how did this happen? Well, one way is that 28 states in the US make you take one class on money in high school. And of those that do, they really just kind of scratch the surface, like topics about balancing a checkbook. And that isn't nearly enough to really help someone build the life that they want, right? Do you think that's enough? Because what percentage of schools teach sex ed, lacrosse, broadcast journalism? Almost 50 out of 50. So you really can't make this stuff up, because it really makes no sense to us either. So this is what we call the sucker cycle. It's really a trap of foolish spending and low interest saving that goes on and on every single month, year after year. So it's kind of slowly sucking away your potential to be wealthy, free, and in control. Every couple of weeks, the cycle repeats. So too much eating out, unnecessary online purchases, another streaming subscription. Most people know how to make money, earn money, and spend it. And that's about it. So it's time to break the sucker cycle. I want you to think of your retirement like an airplane. So it needs both wings in order to fly. You need your Social Security and your 401k, if you have one. That can make up one wing of the income that you plan to live on in retirement. And the other wing is completely up to you. It's your responsibility. So if you hope to live on at least 80% of your pre-retirement income, you'll need to be serious about what you put away. And the hard truth is that no generation is saving enough for today's financial realities. So take a look at these numbers. You can see millennials, Gen Xers, baby boomers, all of them are in trouble when it comes to their second wing. So will you have enough savings to get your retirement off the ground? If you're not sure, you need to have a conversation with your financial professional immediately and discuss this. So here's a pretty cool chart that's going to give you kind of a cool depiction and perspective on this. Even if you can get your retirement off the ground, will you actually have enough income to last and sustain the rest of your life? Or will you run out of money? So here's an example that will really shine a light on this and give you the numbers of the possibilities of potentially a savings shortfall. So if you don't put enough aside every single month at a high enough rate of return, your savings can fall short. This puts your retirement income and your lifestyle at risk. So depending on that shortfall, you might have to cut back on your lifestyle to live on less, or even move in with your kids. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like an option to me. So you see the shortfall here. It's going to be that gray area between what you have saved and then how much you need. And so that should really be the focus of every American, is to really close that gap with their financial professional. So here's what it looks like when you nail it, when you close that gap. So retirement savings goal was reached at 67, right? So this person will have reliable income because they saved the amount necessary and they got the rate of return necessary to reach the savings required to make the retirement they had imagined possible. So there could even be money left over to leave as a legacy to their children, to their great grandchildren. So how does that sound? having more than enough and feeling like you don't have to worry about outliving your income. Now let's spend a few minutes learning about the power of compound interest. The power of compound interest refers to the growth potential of money over a specific time period by leveraging the magic of compounding, which is basically interest paid on the sum of deposits plus the interest previously paid. Okay, so as Zoe puts it, interest on interest. So the difference between simple and compound is substantial. So one stays the same. That's going to be your simple, right? It's just like a baseline. And then one that grows and grows and grows. So let's take another look. I'm going to show you a chart here. So it's simple interest. The original 1,500 on the left grows to about 8,250. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem like much over a 50-year waiting period, right? So now let's look at the flip side. With compound interest, the 1,500 grows at 132,777 in that same 50-year period. That is 16 times more money. So notice how the curve of the graph gets steeper in the later years as, of course, the power of compounding really takes off. That's really the exponential power of compounding growth. And that is exactly what we want. All right, so another example here, if you were to save 178 every month from ages 25 to 67 at different different returns, this creates different results. And I'll show you in a second. So most people don't understand this, which is really why kind of explains why they choose to put their money in very unfortunate places and it's not growing, but they're putting it in a place that, has more of that simple interest account. So the amount added every single month and the time that they need to save really matters. The only change is the rate of return. So this can mean as much as 797% more money that they could have at a 9% interest rate versus a 1%. And so that is almost a $900,000 difference. That's almost $1 million mistake. So as you can see, your rate of return could be the defining factor that chooses your retirement savings gap or really leaves you with a significant shortfall. And so this is why Albert Einstein said that compounding interest was the greatest mathematical discovery of all time. So we have all been guilty of squandering time, and it's especially costly when you lose the value of money over that time. And so you never get that time back or the money lost. But there are 3 steps that you can take to leverage the time value of money. So start now, save regularly, and be patient. I'm going to show you another example here. So these are characters in the book. We have Sarah and George, both different ages and different stages of their life. And so you can see here that starting earlier is always a good idea. It can really make a difference. So in this case, saving from ages 22 to 30 is better than 30 to 67, right? So Sarah ended up with 110,892 more after putting away about 4.75 times less than George. So here's another cool chart on this side. So take a look at this, kind of determine where you're at on this chart. On the right side, it's going to show you how much you would need to put away every single month. This is going to break down by age. So for each $1 million that you want at retirement, you can see the monthly amount you need to save on the right. And at age 30, you would have to save $282 a month, right, to have $1 million at retirement. But if you wait until you're 40, now you need to save $731 a month. And at some point, you will outpace your ability to really hit that monthly savings amount required. So at that point, you simply can't afford it. And you have 2 choices. You can shrink your dreams, or you can find a way to earn more money. So this is a concept that we like to call the $1 million baby. Only 15% of adults expect to receive an inheritance from their parents today. So if you want to give your children $1 million at their retirement, which option is more realistic? You can either give them $1 million each in cash when they're adults, and you've saved enough, or you can develop a plan to save a fraction of that amount for each child when they're young. So let's take a look. We know how hard it is for retirement age parents to preserve an inheritance for adult children. And with seniors living longer, almost all of their savings may be required to cover decades of expenses, including medical bills and long-term care. So this new reality of longevity and science evolving can really remove the possibility of leaving an inheritance the old-fashioned way. So could you use these money principles you've learned today to save $1 million for your child or your grandchild? It's actually a lot easier than you think. So let's take a look. In this example, Dana puts away $13,000 one time, and she leaves it there for her daughter from birth until she turns 67. And that grows at about 6.5% and a little over $1 million. Now, if Dana waits until her daughter graduates from high school, her daughter only receives about $300,000 when she turns 67. So you can see what a difference 18 years can make. So Hector, he doesn't really have $13,000 just sitting around, but he still wants his son to retire on $1 million. So he and his relatives work together to save just one payment of $2,500 right now, and then about $250 every single month for the next 4 years. And then, like magic, they'll hit the same goal too, and his son retires with $1 million waiting for him. If Hector waits until his son turns 18, it's the same story as Dana, how she had waited. The amount that they'll end up with is way less. So it's a little, again, over $300,000. So now you can see why we call this strategy $1 million baby. So how appreciative would your kids be one day, perhaps when you're gone, that their parents thought about their future? They knew how money works and they acted in love to take care of them. I don't know about you, but that's a thank you that could change your legacy forever. All right, so are we having fun? I hope so. I hope we're enjoying this so far and you've been learning something. So this is actually my favorite part of the masterclass. It's time to learn the rule of 72. Has anyone heard of it before? It's a little mental math shortcut that the wealthy have used for years. Everyone should know it. It's super simple. You simply divide any interest rate into the number 72, and then it tells you how long it's going to take for your money to double. So it works for you if you save money, and of course it works against you if you borrow money. At 1%, it takes 72 years for it to become $1 to turn into 2, right? And that's a pretty long time. So would anyone knowingly choose that on purpose? You know, you'd be surprised because so many other rates are actually even lower. As you can see here, the better rate of return you get, the faster your money can double. So at 3%, 24 years, 6%, 12 years, 9%, 8 years, and of course at 12, every 6. I don't know about you, but that's more like it. That's where we want to be. At a rate of return of 0.15%, if you divide that into 72, you're looking at about 480 years for that money to double. That's the year 2504, or 2504, which sounds crazy to say. As Clark says, his great grandchildren will love it. So just so we're clear, the same place that gives you 0.15% can also charge you over 22% or more on a credit card. So that means that their money doubles every 3.2 years. So now you see why the subtitle of the book is called Stop Being a Sucker, because you need to know how money works today, not tomorrow, today. So now I'm going to walk you through these 7 money milestones. This is your step-by-step action plan, really designed to help you chart the course from where you are today to financial security, independence, and success. The good news is that no one is too far ahead or too far behind for these milestones. So each milestone is a critical step to help you reach your financial summit. And because of the time that we're spending together today, you're actually increasing, number 1, your financial literacy, concept by concept. strategy by strategy, learning to take control of your personal finances, which will, of course, help you give the confidence to discuss your situation with your financial professional, which we strongly recommend. The first milestone, as we mentioned, you're already on your way to completing. You've begun financial education with just the first half of this session. You're becoming more financially ready with each slide that we cover. Also, remember, a financial professional is the best person to turn to for any questions on specific details, and I can discuss them with you if you don't have one or you really need help just choosing one. In the war for money, there are two essential tools that you need to win. So you need to know the best starting point, and really that is to combine that financial education with a professional. So take this education seriously. You didn't get this, from school, your parents, your friends. Treat your finances with the level of dedication that you put into your health. Google things, ask questions, but then turn to someone that you trust that actually does this for a living. Proper protection is not milestone number 2 for an important reason. You need to protect yourself and your family from a possible future loss of income, loss of savings before you begin the rest of the journey. And because if you were to die prematurely, your family could be left without your income, in addition to being without you. So your current savings might not be enough to take care of them. How much life insurance do you need? Really, the answer is that it's different for everyone based on your situation. However, here's a good rule of thumb that we recommend you consider: having life insurance coverage that's at least 10 times your annual family income. So as an example here, if you earn about $50K a year, you should consider about $500,000 in coverage. And at a conservative rate of return of like 5%, interest on that lump sum would replace about half of that income. For a more specific calculation of your family's needs, ask your financial professional. Together, they'll discuss factors about how old you are, how much debt you have, your health, number of dependents, your role in your business, and just your overall situation. And so the same people who underestimate how much life insurance they need actually have a tendency to overestimate how much it'll cost. So let's take a look. Both of these assumptions can really keep families from putting proper protection in place. And as this says right here, insure.com says that only 59% of Americans have life insurance, and about half of those are uninsured. So life insurance falls into 2 basic categories. We have temporary and permanent. So first, let's look at temporary, which is more commonly called term insurance. So it's called that because it provides life insurance protection for a specific period of time, 10, 20, 30 years. It's the most affordable life insurance available because it provides one core feature: the death benefit, which is the money paid to the beneficiary when the insured dies, and because it expires after that term. With term life insurance, it's possible to have financial protection for your family or business with a relatively small monthly payment. And this can make it a fit for anyone with a pretty limited budget during times of high financial responsibility. For example, if you're raising children, you're paying things off, like your mortgage, student loans, and maybe you're running your company, and if you're a business owner. But what happens when that term insurance ends? There's 2 scenarios that we can look at. Scenario 1 is that if you don't need that coverage anymore, then you can just simply let it end, let that policy end, no fuss, no muss. But what if after the term you still need coverage because you're still paying for your home, or you're a single income couple, or maybe you're supporting grown children or grandchildren? Maybe you're still running your company. And for those reasons and many others, you might consider scenario number 2, which is keeping that term insurance. This is what we call the financial X wave. It's in your younger years, represented on the blue on the left. You typically have more responsibility and less accumulated wealth. And then in your later years, the yellow side, the plan is for your accumulated wealth to increase as your responsibilities hopefully will decrease. And so term insurance is typically most useful when your responsibilities are higher and your wealth is lower. That's going to be the left side. And if these 2 factors flip in life as planned, term insurance becomes less practical. And so your financial professional can really help you look at this X wave and how that can be applied to your situation. So now let's look at permanent life insurance. So similar to term, of course, it provides that death benefit to protect your family. However, perm insurance is designed to be kept and to protect you for your entire life, not just for a specific period. So think of permanent life insurance as a lifelong strategy that can really protect your family today, secure your wealth in the future, and then provide for your family after you're gone. So there are three important benefits of permanent life insurance. Number one, life insurance protection for your entire life. Two, with many permanent life policies, you can add long-term care as an optional rider. And number three is your accumulated cash value, which can give you flexibility with your premiums. And this is going to be premiums are just your monthly payments, right? Your contributions. This means that if you ever can't pay that premium for whatever reason, it can actually be paid out from your cash value. So what does that make sense? We'll go into that soon. So let's talk about that cash value component of the permanent life insurance, because this is why it's so important. A portion of your monthly premium is set aside in an account that grows over the life of your policy. And the money in that account is your cash accumulation and can be used to fund any future purchases. So you can see a few possibilities on the screen right here. So in addition to, of course, no market risk, tax-free growth, income, and a legacy, as we just mentioned, life insurance cash value can also be creditor proof, meaning creditors can't come after it. So when you look at all of these features together, the advantages of the cash value benefits are very powerful. So long-term care insurance covers really covers the out-of-pocket expenses that can add up. And it can really be used to pay for qualified services like nursing home care, home health care, assisted living, or adult daycare. And really, you never know if or when you might need this. And if you do, the average long-term care needed, if more than 1 year, lasts, about roughly 4 years. As you can see here, the average total cost can be a pretty crippling expense if you're not covered by a policy. And so the cost without long-term care coverage could really drain one or more of your savings assets that you are really counting on in the future if something were to happen. There are a couple long-term care options that you should look at. The first is a traditional standalone policy. So if you don't have life insurance, you can go directly to an insurance company to purchase a standalone long-term care policy. Or if it's available, you can add a rider to your permanent life insurance policy for an extra cost. And really, everyone should look at that option. Long-term care riders aren't the only riders available. You can also consider other living benefits like critical chronic illness riders. And really, this can help you save the day if you face any of those health challenges like you see here on the screen. And you, of course, should discuss adding these riders to your permanent life insurance policy with your financial professional. Some are pretty inexpensive or even cost nothing extra to add onto your policy. Once you've covered milestone number 2, now it's time to tackle milestone number 3, which is creating your emergency fund. We recommend you save at least 3 to 6 months of your annual income to prepare for any unexpected expenses like unforeseen medical bills, home appliance repairs or replacements, and any hassles like major car fixes. And of course, don't forget the costliest of them all, possible layoffs and unemployment. If you're currently living paycheck to paycheck, like many people are today, your emergency fund could really be the insulation that separates you from a financial disaster if it happens, right? So check out these examples. These samples really include annual incomes and how much you'll need for the 3 to 6 month mark income guideline. So there are two rules to your emergency fund. Rule number 1 is to know that your emergency fund is only for unexpected emergencies. That's all. It's not for gifts, getaways, BOGO sales, and it doesn't matter if it sits in your checkings, your savings, or a separate account, as long as you're not tempted to use it for anything but a real emergency. And so rule number 2 is that if you need to use your emergency fund to fix your car, replace the fridge, you have an ER visit, don't hesitate to use that money. That's what it's for, so that you don't have to rely on credit cards and taking on more debt. Just make sure that afterwards you add back a little money over time until your emergency fund is full again. Once you've worked with your financial professional to square away your proper protection and emergency fund, now it's time to talk about managing your debt. Milestone number 4, before you can fully enjoy financial security and independence, you'll need to look at your spending habits and strive to reduce and eventually eliminate your debt. The average American today has about $28,900 in personal debt, not including mortgages and, of course, many others. And so don't forget that over half of Americans suffer from some kind of anxiety relating to debt. And so when that's removed, we can really enjoy life more fully and more freely. And so here are 5 tips to eliminate and really stay out of debt. So know what you owe, no more late payments, go after one debt at a time, stop charging and cancel unused subscriptions, and then of course, consider refinancing your mortgage if that's an option. Increasing your cash flow is milestone number 5. So while the suckers gripe about how tight things are and their penny pinchers, the wealthy are plotting how to free up more cash. This means seeking out ways to earn additional income and better managing their expenses. So let's investigate how to do this. Here are a few things that you can do that could increase your cash flow. So create and stick to a budget. Develop a written game plan, reduce spending on expenses like car and home insurance, reposition your savings, drop your PMI, private mortgage insurance, on your mortgage if you qualify. And of course, always remember your financial professional can help guide you through these ideas and more. There are 3 big moves to really supercharge your cash flow. So let's take a look. You could add a side gig. So earning additional income is almost always a quicker way to reach your financial goals than just trying to spend less. A recent survey found that about 45% of US workers have a side gig and they earn about a little over $1,000 a month. So maybe it's time for you to get into action and have a side gig. Or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you want to start a business. You know, low-cost business opportunities, they're out there, they exist. So find a problem people have and figure out how to solve it, because by becoming an entrepreneur part-time, you can really leverage that time outside of your day job. And as your income increases, then a moment could soon come when you transition away from being that employee into becoming a full-time entrepreneur with even more control to your cash flow. You'll have the time, the freedom, and the options. So don't forget that you can adjust your W-2 allowances. Some people celebrate getting a big tax refund at the beginning of each year. And if that's you, just consider this. By adjusting your W-2 allowances, more of your cash could be in your paycheck all year long instead of with the IRS. So please consult with your tax professional before making any changes to this. Milestone number 6 is a big one and really an exciting one. It focuses on building wealth. This is the milestone where results appear on your bottom line. This is where you avoid the impact of taxes, losses, and inflation. So do your best to accumulate and grow your net worth. With the possibility of longevity adding so many more years to your life, this brings up one question. Will your wealth last as long as you do? You have to be able to answer this question. In addition to that, there are 4 threats every wealth builder must conquer. So think of these as your wealth building enemies. Each will come at you from different direction, and really to beat them, we'll have to address them individually. So let's start with one of the worst, procrastination. As one quote says, procrastination is hands down our favorite form of self-sabotage. Then, of course, we'll pick apart the market losses, inflation, and of course, taxes. Inflation is also known as the tax of time because the annual inflation rate has averaged right around 2.8% for the last 100 years. So can you estimate the number of years it's going to take the cost of goods to double at a steady 2.8 inflation rate? So it's time to put that rule of 72 to work. The answer is almost 26 years. You can see that one of the essential reasons to build wealth using the power of compound interest is to really stay ahead of inflation. So when you know that the enemy is slowly devaluing your savings by raising the cost of goods, it should drive you to be even more committed to your growth building strategy. So don't let this scare you. Let it drive you into action. The next enemy of building wealth is the impact of losses. Often underestimated, it's a threat that can wreck your savings goals and force you to adjust your lifestyle in retirement. So here's a simple picture that really illustrates how people miscalculate the impact of losses. If you were to lose 50% of investments, which by the way has happened twice in the stock market in the last 20 years, what percent of gain would you need to get back to the 100%? A lot of people would say 50%, right? But it's wrong. It actually takes 100% gain on the right side of the screen after a 50% loss just to get back to even. And that's not easy to do, which is why it's so important to protect what you already have. So maybe this is the reason why Warren Buffett famously said this quote about investing. He said, rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. So what can you do to prevent losses? Well, first, look at every option and reduce the risk. Second, consider how to diversify your portfolio. And of course, third, utilize the right financial vehicles for your situation. Remember, don't procrastinate, consider inflation. Talk with your financial professional about ways to reduce or remove the impact of losses from your strategy. And last, the impact of taxes, the 800-pound gorilla of wealth building threats. So nobody likes paying taxes, especially when you're preparing for retirement. The tax strategy that you put into place today can really determine how much money you keep and how much you pay the government, and ultimately how much you leave for your kids. So understanding how financial vehicles are taxed differently can really help you make strategic decisions that can pay off big time down the road. So if you save $10,000 at age 29 and earn about a 9% annual rate of return every year, you would have about $250,000 when you reach 65. So think like a farmer for a second. Would you rather pay taxes on the seed or the harvest? Of course, whichever is smaller, right? Which is usually what you start with. A farmer would rather pay taxes on the seed and not the big harvest, because an investor would rather pay taxes on the money before it grows, not after. You either pay taxes now, later, or never. So which one will apply to you? It's really just going to depend on the vehicle that you choose. And then again, this is where your financial professional can help you. There are 3 components of a reliable retirement income. We recommend that you really consider all 3. The first one is to maintain potential for growth by participating in the upside growth potential tied to the market. The second is to reduce or remove potential for losses by eliminating any downside risks that are tied to the market. And 3 is to create a predictable income that lasts and prevents the possibility of running out of money in retirement with an income stream that you can count on. The last milestone is to protect your wealth and create a will and guarding your legacy. A lot of people forget this, and you know what? Even the rich miss it sometimes. Prince and Aretha Franklin had sizable estates, but neither had an estate plan. So both of them left their families and business partners with a very huge emotional and financial and legal mess. This took years to sort out. So this really shows how important it is to protect the wealth, your wealth, with an estate plan. And according to a Rocket Law survey, 64% of Americans don't have a will. And not surprisingly, the number of people without a will is actually higher for younger Americans. So 70% of those aged around 45 to 54. And for older Americans, about 54% of those aged 55 to 64. And Prince was actually only 57. So your estate plan is really how you protect your wealth, your family, and your legacy when you die, or if you're incapacitated. It's how your wishes and decisions can be carried out. There are 4 important documents your estate plan should include. You'll need a will, your financial power of attorney, an advanced healthcare directive, or a living will. and a HIPAA release. And of course, your legal professional can help you put those into place. Having an estate plan in place can really help you avoid the government making decisions about who gets the property, who takes care of your children, who gets mom's wedding ring. The process of court administrating an estate in accordance with the state laws is called probate. And trust me, nobody wants to go through that if they don't have to. This is one of the most important reasons why you need to put your estate plan in place right away. You can also help your family and business partners avoid any unnecessary expenses and delays with the probate process with one additional estate planning tool, a trust. Trust can do many things for you. And again, your legal professional can help you with the best advice when it comes to trusts. If you think estate planning will be too expensive or time consuming, then you haven't really considered the cost to your loved ones down the road. And the truth is, there are options for almost every budget. So we recommend that you put this milestone in place right away. So we're almost finished. I really want you to take a moment and think about the concept that resonated with you most, because this is why we started this mission of eradicating financial illiteracy. This is how you really start to take control of your finances. This is something that's actually in the book itself, The Money Discovery. This works like driving directions on your phone, right? You have 2 points of reference, and this is all you need, where you are and where you want to go. The same is true to really chart the course for your financial roadmap. And so the Money Discovery in this book can really help you take care of that. Of course, we suggest that you share this information with your financial professional just to make sure that you're on track to reaching your dreams and goals. So discuss these concepts and review the milestone with your financial professional. If you don't currently have a professional to turn to, the first of the 7 money milestones is financial education. So since you've attended this webinar, you will have the option of receiving a free copy of the How Money Works book, Stop Being a Sucker. So you've already, started down the path of learning how it really works. And we can help you walk through the other 6 milestones. And we do that in 2 simple steps. The first one is a simple discovery call where we're going to spend about 15 minutes just identifying where you are now in your financial life, and most importantly, where you want to go. Then our team spends a few hours and, behind the scenes, crunching numbers. They'll search the financial industry for the best products and services that meet your needs and really identify the ones that best fit your current financial position and your goals. And then we'll have a solutions appointment where we'll have like a screen share. We'll kind of walk you through the steps, what we'd recommend, and exactly where your money should be going. So don't procrastinate. Talk to us today. Let us know if you need help. So what I'm going to do now, if anything came up for you and have any questions, drop them in the chat now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link for you if you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, this changed my life. I need to talk to someone. I need to do something about this. I'm going to have you fill out a form. It's very simple, pretty easy, quick to fill out. Should take only a few minutes. So let me put that in the chat and then let me know if anything is coming up for you. And if you want your free copy of the How Money Works book, all you have to do is just check mark that spot. And then at a later time, we'll have we'll discuss more and get your address so that we can get that over to you as soon as possible. So I actually I can show you the bag. I have one of the copies. I have the next generation copy. So this is the 3rd version of the series. So as I mentioned, I think it's probably backwards, but as I mentioned, the first version is the original. Second version is How Money Works for Women. And the 3rd version is How Money Works for the next generation. So millennials, Gen Zers, this is for you. I'm 28 years old, so I'm technically a Gen Z. I'm on the cusp. So, but I'm proud because, I grew up in a good tech kind of, environment. I'm very tech savvy and I'm determined to change these statistics for Gen Z. So I can tell you right now, like the concepts in the book are the same. The characters are different, their ages, their careers, their lifestyles, and financial hardships, which is most important. So if you're a woman, you've got to get the woman's book. It is so good. It is made for you. And really, I recommend you read them all. They're all great. but we've got so many others coming and they're in the works. So, all right, let me check the chat, make sure anything's coming up for you. All right, looks good. All right, I'm going to give you one more minute. If there's anything else you'd like to add, feel free to let me know. I'm going to stop this. I'll check YouTube. What happened with YouTube? I'm not sure where it went, but okay, we'll get back to that. Okay. Awesome. All right. So it looks like nothing's coming up for you all. Thank you so much for attending, for prioritizing your financial literacy. And of course, if you want to connect later, I look forward to connecting with you and supporting you in your journey. I hope you have a beautiful day and happy holidays. I'll talk to you all soon. Okay.